Welcome, everyone, and welcome to Who's Your Neighbor? And I had a lot of fun with that title. Um, there's a exclamation point and then a question mark at the end. It's like, who is my neighbor? Like good ones or bad ones? And the whole reason for this show is about discovery, connection, inclusion, collaboration. We don't know who our neighbors are. We don't know who the stunningly spectacular helpers are in our communities. And I had somebody else asking me about this show the other day, and they said, well, we'd like to do something similar. I said, learn from me. Let me tell you anything you want to know. I would love to see this concept spread around the world. Tonight, I want you to meet Leslie Zemenek. I met her 2004 and then again in 2007 because I saw a sign in a window when I was going over to my favorite grocery store, and it said hand reading. It's like, hand reading? And so I think I called her and spoke for a minute, and I scheduled a session. And literally 10 minutes into our appointment, I am looking around the room because I thought I was on Candid Camera. If you don't remember the show, they would surprise people. They put them into a situation that would be very confusing for them and very funny for everybody watching. And I thought I had just been set up because there was absolutely no way that Leslie could know what she was telling me, what she was speaking about. But it went on for the rest of the session. I was just blown away. So what she has done is she's woven hand reading in with her other two passions. And it's a really powerful way that she's ready to launch. She's already done tests, and people were blown away like I was. So let's bring Leslie Zemenek on. And hello again, Leslie.
Hi, Terry, and hello to everyone who's watching.
It is. I am just so excited about chatting with you again. What are your, besides hand reading, what are these other two passions that you have?
Well, I have been an artist all my life. I like to say that I started when I was old enough to hold a pencil, which was pretty darn small. That's all I ever wanted to be. And I think as I grew into myself as an artist, where I gravitated was design. So I've worked in many, many fields in design, clothing design, and I've done some floral design. And eventually, in the 90s, in the mid 90s, before most people knew the internet existed, I just very excitedly got involved in the ground floor on web design. Back when there were no images even on the web, it was just text on a gray background. So
Wow.
I still do a lot of graphic design and web design. And that was my full-time career for many, many years before I set out becoming a hand reader full-time. And my other passion is one that I got into.
Leslie, could I interrupt you there?
Sure.
What, I mean, I know palm reading. What's hand reading?
Well, I like to distinguish hand reading from palm reading because people think of palmistry and they think of people looking at their hands and telling them how long they're going to live and how many children they're going to have and when they're going to get married. And what I do is actually the official name is hand analysis, but I just call it hand reading. And it's different because it's not a predictive art. Essentially, it's a system that uses the knowledge that your and mostly fingerprints, but also the hands. Your fingerprints were formed 16 weeks into the womb at the same time that your brain is developing before you're born. So the fingerprints, the code in your fingerprints is literally about the hardwiring of your brain.
Wow.
And then there are more nerve endings from your brain to your hands than any other part of your body. So the lines change. The fingerprints, of course, we know don't. The lines will change because our brains are plastic and we learn new things and we change our opinions of things and we change our beliefs and our habits. And as that happens, the lines in your hands change to reflect it. So essentially, hand reading.
So let me make sure I'm clear. The lines in my hands change, but the fingerprints don't.
Never. You have to do real damage to your fingers.
That's why the FBI wants to fingerprint me.
Well, and when I was learning this system, we did use statistics from law enforcement when we were learning the fingerprint analysis, like which fingerprints were common, which ones commonly occurred on which fingers, which ones were uncommon on certain fingers. So we definitely made use of all those statistics.
So there's obviously much more to this than I knew.
It's a fascinating and wonderful and immediate system because it's written on your own body. So I'm an astrologer too. I love astrology, but
and now I just want to look at my hands and go, what don't I know?
It's written on your own body. It can't be any more immediate than that. Wow. So it is almost like I've been able to open up your brain without any pain or suffering and read what's going on.
That's how you were able to tell me things that I couldn't believe you could know.
Yes. It's literally what's recorded in your brain gets recorded in your hand.
Wow. Well, tell us more. I'm ready. I'm open.
Okay. So as you know, the difference, as I just mentioned, the difference is between the lines and the fingerprints is that the fingerprints never change. And in the system that I learned, the fingerprints are used to determine what's called the life agenda. So 16 weeks after you're conceived, a full 5 months before you take your first breath on your own, your soul decides, what am I going to work on this lifetime? So there are 3 parts to it. The life purpose, like the thing you came to excel at and share with the world. And you don't have to learn because it's what's innate in you. It's natural. The second piece is what you came to learn, and you need that piece to complete your agenda. It's the piece that is required, and sometimes it seems very unrelated to the purpose. And then the third aspect that I read in the fingerprints is what we call, my teacher used to call your major at Earth University. It's how you gain experience in this lifetime so that you can get to purpose and learn what you need to learn. It's the area in which you experience them. And there's 4. There's love, service, peace, and wisdom. The most common learning environment on the planet is love. And it makes sense. We need it.
Well, and looking at any story in the headlines or online, it's like, yeah, need love.
Yes.
Need to learn more.
We need it. We absolutely need it.
Wow. So you mentioned I'm not going to say palmistry, the hand reading and the website design.
Right.
So is there a third passion that you've...
Yes. My third passion is one that I've come to more recently. And it was something I started before the pandemic kind of stopped a lot of events around town. But I started doing live storytelling on stage.
Really?
Yes. Yes. And if you've ever listened to NPR and heard the Moth Radio Hour, there are Moth story slams all over the world, not just all over the country, but all over the world. And there's actually happens twice a month in Portland. I think not that many cities have more than one. And the way it works is you have to tell a 5-minute story. You're limited to 5 minutes or they take you off stage. It has to be true.
Gently, I hope.
Yes, gently. It has to be true. So it's not a fictional story. It's a true story. And it has to be about yourself. So you can't tell a story about anyone else.
Wow.
So besides the fact that you're getting up on stage, which is a little scary, having to tell a story, which requires a little bit of practice. You're also having to be a little bit vulnerable because you're sharing something very personal about yourself, an experience, an insight you had. And the way the slams work is you sign up, you put your name in a hat. So you don't even know if you're going to get called, or if you get called, what order. And it's so much fun. And I've done quite a few of them. And then I got invited to do a second storytelling event in town called Pants on Fire, where 7 storytellers would go up. 6 of them told the true story, 1 told a lie, and the audience had to guess who was the liar.
I love it.
So this is just a great passion of mine. And what I have learned since doing this is that story is so intrinsic to our humanity. And Ursula Le Guin, the author, said that has never been a culture since the beginning of time that didn't tell stories.
I'm fascinated. How does that weave in with web design and hand reading?
Well, the web design is only one piece of what I do, because what I'm doing when I'm weaving these things together is someone has a website, and it's not that hard to get the skills to build a website, but to build a website that people want to stay on and read and learn about you and decide they want to work with you requires more than just technical skills, or even some artistic skills. It can be pretty, but it may not be effective. So what has to happen in order for someone to have a successful business, particularly as a solo entrepreneur like you are or I am, is that you need to be able to tell a story that helps people get to know you. You want to get them to get to know you. You want to let them trust you. Because why should they work with you when somebody else might be offering something that could give them a similar result?
Exactly.
It's because like you, they know you, they trust you. Your story resonates with them. And they say, wow, if that person has been through this and they changed their life, they can help me change mine. And so I'm weaving these 3 things together because my life purpose, or in my brand purpose, in terms of my fingerprints when I'm talking about business, is around helping people to step up on stage and be seen. And so I've done this with a lot of people. In my hand readings, what I did with individuals, a lot of times people would start to cry. Like you talked about 10 minutes, you were looking for cameras. In a lot of cases, within the first 10 minutes, people cry. And I always know that when they cry, we've gone somewhere really deep.
Yeah.
And they feel seen. So I feel like that's my gift to people, is that I can see them beyond like what they put on, like, so they feel safe showing up because maybe someone else told them they weren't okay the way they were.
Right.
And so I feel this is the gift I've been able to give people. I've actually had one lady who cried so hard, and later she delivered a beautiful gift to me. She made a hand-beaded necklace in the shape of a hand.
Wow.
To thank me, because she had never felt so seen before in her life. And it just touches my heart. And I know that there are a lot of people, more and more people are starting businesses now and going to work for themselves. And it's a good thing, because they get to be themselves more when they are giving something to the world that matters,
Yes.
instead of just putting in hours to collect a paycheck.
Yes.
So I want to help those people who are really here with a mission to make change in the world, but also then to be able to take care of themselves and keep a roof over their heads so they can keep doing
That's a good thing too.
Yes. Well, you need to do that to keep doing the work. And I want to,
I'm agreeing with you completely.
yeah,
I'm remembering when I was in real estate like 40 years ago. My wife, the first year, I said, "Geez, I only grossed $5,824 or something that first year." And she says, "Did you know that most businesses don't break into the black until the third to the fifth year?"
it's true. It's true. But there are ways that you can have advantages.
That's
And
quite a calling you have, Leslie. I can hear the passion in your voice too.
I am so excited about this.
Yeah.
I am just ready to do this because I started out as the shyest person on the planet. I was thinking about that today.
No.
Oh, yes. People would talk to me and I would not even answer them. I would just look away. I literally had no voice. I had no voice. I can tell you stories, but we would take up so much time. But I was so shy, painfully, paralyzingly shy. And you know me now. I'm great and I'm getting up on stage telling stories. That's a big difference from being paralyzingly shy.
Really is.
So
So with your new venture, how do you go about do you do the hand analysis and then how do you go about this? This is
so
so fascinating.
so when I'm working with business people, um, you know, I offer different packages. Some people just want the branding and the messaging. Some people want the whole package with the website and the design. And so it depends on what people are wanting. But always, I start with the fingerprints because this is the basis. If you are wanting to talk about being authentic and you make a connection with customers by being authentic, not by coming up with a clever slogan, you want to just really meet people so that they can say, ah, yes, I want to work with you. So if you're going to be authentic, your fingerprints have everything in there that you need to say, this is who I am. This is what I offer. This is how I meet you where you are. And I think I offered to look at your fingerprints to give an example of how it works. So we start with the fingerprints. We have this basis now for everything, whether it's the messaging, the visuals, strategies for how to find customers. There's a piece of it I call the customer care genius, which is we each have a way in which we care for others, a natural way. And I don't know if you are familiar with what they call Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Oh yeah. Gosh, yes.
Okay, so this is based on the hierarchy of needs from Maslow. We have basic human motivations. They call it motivational theory. What motivates us?
Right.
And it's the same in business. What motivates people to buy? And they're
Hmm.
based on those needs. So some people need to feel like they're part of a group. And so you use identity um, languages to speak with them. Some people feel disorganized. So you help them find peace of mind and stability and control and security in their business if you're helping them that way. Some people need to feel like they need some answers so they don't feel like they're stumbling around trying to find things and not knowing. And the fourth one is people who are trying to break beyond the status quo. They're looking for independence. That's the top of the hierarchy. And so the same thing goes in business. I've set this up in a way. So based on each of the four types of fingerprints, each one meets one of those needs. And it becomes the customer care genius.
I'm excited.
So
Did
when
you say you still have my handprints?
I do actually, I pulled them out of my files. There
Wow.
we are. There's your handprints. This is the set from 2007. I also have a set from 2004. And I was actually looking at them today, and there are some differences.
In just those 3 years.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And so, based on your fingerprints, and I know you'll remember when I did your fingerprint analysis originally, I told you that your life purpose was the successful healer. And I think I told you many times how much in your hands pointed to being a healer.
Yeah, candidly, I don't remember.
Okay. Well, you having a healer life purpose is not that common. When we talk about that in terms of business, what I would say to you is I would change that to be your entrepreneurial superpower. So your entrepreneurial superpower is to be an empathic listener and to help people then facilitate change in their life. But because of it's more than just the healer for you, you then can help them in ways that they can use in a practical sense in their life. It's not just about the listening and the energy piece. You can do it on both the energetic plane and the earthly plane. And that's your superpower that you have to bring to others. The second piece is the obstacle to your success. And in your case, your obstacle is feeling like you have to do more than anyone else in order to prove your authority. You're smiling.
I've been working with that one since probably the time I met you. Yeah.
Okay, so this is not a truth. This is something you came to overcome, is that you don't have to do more. And what's very interesting is about the rest of your script for this entrepreneurial version of life purpose is that your hidden potential is to create wealth. And I'm not talking wealth just in the sense of money, but it's not just wealth for yourself, but it's the sense of feeling valued. When you are listening with that empathy that is so natural to you, that you were born with, and helping people figure out how to be in the world based on what you're hearing and sensing, and helping them transform their lives that way, what you are creating is also a sense of feeling valued and wealthy, like you already have everything you need.
So you mentioned something a minute ago. What was the name of this that you're offering on your website?
Brand Fingerprint is the name of the system I'm calling it. I'm calling the business Brand Fingerprint Lab because it's a play on the fingerprint lab that they use to analyze fingerprints in, law enforcement. And also laboratories are where alchemy happens, right?
Right.
And transformation. So that's why I chose that name. I talk about the script as the Brand Fingerprint Blueprint.
So what is it that you're offering though as a download on that website?
Oh, so I have a free download on that website. Basically, right now the site is under construction. I am the cobbler's son who has no shoes, right? I build websites for other people, but it's not doing my own. But so you'll see a coming soon page if you go there. But there is also a link there. I have a free download. It's a 9-page guide to brand fingerprint. So teaching you how to look at your own fingerprints and then identifying your own customer care genius. So when you download this guide to your customer care genius, you will learn which of the 4 needs from the hierarchy of needs that you are naturally able to satisfy for other people. And you then can learn how I give what I'm calling brand words. So using the language that your customer uses so that you can make authentic connections with them.
Right.
And
That's a challenge for an awful lot of people.
Yes, because you don't want to use jargon. You want to talk to them in the words that they use themselves.
Yeah.
So I gave a lot of brand words for each of the 4 customer care geniuses.
Wow.
And also, it's very important when you're doing customer care, when you're doing any kind of care. Think about if you're a caretaker for someone who is ill. you have to take care of yourself. And it's just as important in business. So I've included a little section in there for each of the 4 geniuses on self-care so that you can balance customer care with self-care.
So that's a gift that you're offering. If people just go to your under construction website, it's live there.
Yes, they can click the link. It'll take them to a page to fill out. All I'm asking for is just the email. They'll get an email immediately with a link to download it.
Wow.
So I just want to finish the last piece for you in your script, because your customer care genius is authority. And
authority.
The authority customer care genius is akin to the fingerprint school we called wisdom. So when you're here as the authority, people are looking to you to help them find answers. They see you as the expert or the authority or the one that they can look up to. And so I really wanted to make sure you heard that piece, because
thank you.
It's true about you. And I besides the 2 sessions we've done together, I've run into you at events many, many times, and we've had many conversations, and you've helped me on occasion. And I just think you have this genuine, beautiful demeanor, but also this authority that you have this connection, and and people want you to help them find what they need to know.
So for anyone who's listening, then what's important for them is that they can either get the try it yourself, do it yourself, DIY, by going to your website, and that's brandfingerprintlab.com, and they can get a free download. And I see Karam has posted it in the chat room too.
Right.
And then if they go, okay, that's over my head, I'm not clear on this and that step, then you're going to also be offering different levels of service?
Yes. So when I meet with someone and I want to find out what they need, some people already have a website, but what they need is their words, their message to be different. Right. So I might work with them just on the copy, on how to speak to their customer.
You get their fingerprints. Mm-hmm. And you'd look at their lines or fingerprints?
We're working with the fingerprints for this.
With the fingerprints, because those are what's branded into you from 16 weeks?
16 weeks from conception.
Yeah, this is so fascinating. It's like
5 months before you're
right
breathing
before
on
you
your
take
own.
Your first real breath.
Yes.
And then you carry that for the rest of your life.
Yes. So this is it's innate in you. You don't have to learn it. People don't, and it takes us a while, as we're learning just to be human and walk around and interact, to step fully into it. But if you have this information, you can speed it up a little. So then
to connect with you, because I know that as people watch this, they're going to want to connect with you and learn more. So then they would use your email address?
Yes, they can contact me with email.
Karam can, there it is.
Yep, that is my email.
Leslie at brandfingerprintlab.com.
And people can find me there. And I offer a free 30-minute consult for anybody who wants to find out if it's a good fit to work with me on this.
That's a great way to build trust.
Yes.
Why?
Yes.
And also, I would imagine, to find out if you're a good fit for them.
Absolutely. It has to be a collaboration. It has to be a collaboration. And that's part of my brand fingerprint, is collaboration.
Love it, because that's a large part of what this show is about. Discovery, connection, collaboration. Yeah.
Yeah. I over the years, I've learned I just love collaboration.
I am so glad that you raised your hand and said yes when I said, gee, would you like to come on Who's Your Neighbor?
Well, thank you. It's been really great to connect with you again.
Yeah, I'm grateful for it too. And I'm going to replay this and write down some of these notes.
Okay. All right. And you and I will connect again after.
Super. Leslie, thank you so much.
Thank you for inviting me. This has been a real privilege.
Oh, well, it's a privilege for us too. Yes, so thank you. So, Karam, if you could put Leslie's email address in the chat room so that people can also see that. It's really easy. You add Leslie in front of, yeah, there it is. Thank you so much. So one of the other things that I want to share with everybody is one of the things that I do as a healer is that I use something called Tao Healing Hands. And it's a transmission. And like Leslie, I would love for you to have a free experience so you know if it's a right fit. Nothing to buy. There's a website that you can go to. The trainings are done by the Tao Healing Center here in town. Yeah, there's a MailChimp lab over there in the chat room. And if you would like a free, instantaneous 10-minute Tao Hands blessing, now you can ask for finances, healing of a headache, backache, relationships, physical stuff. This is not a medical treatment. It's complementary, both PLI as a gift and PLE as, goes with. I work with medical doctors, acupuncturist, herbalist, a psychologist, come to think of it. Yeah. Because the Tao Hands, they aren't me. We get a download to our hand, and we just say, okay, dear my Tao Hands, please turn on and offer as an appropriate blessing to the person for, whatever it is that they've stated. So if you would like to find out what that's all about, then you can go to the MailChimp link there and get a 10-minute instantaneous Tao Hands blessing. If you're curious about the 4 fingerprint types, imagine that. By the time we're 16 weeks as a fetus, 8 months, 7.5, 8 months before we ever take a real breath, even, our fingerprints develop as our mind does, if I'm remembering how Leslie phrased that. It's like, wow. If she ever told me that, I don't remember. It's amazing. So you can go there and have fun with that and get some brand words. I know I'm still working with branding, with how do I say it in something that, Joe Public and Jane Public will get in their language. And you can get those words as a gift from Leslie. If you want to go a step further, she offered a 30-minute free, she mentioned it, she'll give you a 30-minute free consultation. And, she spoke less than 30 minutes here. So imagine what you could get with a focus just on you, 30-minute consultation. I'm serious. I'm going to play this again and listen to what she said about me again, because it's like, whoa, I had to take that in at a deeper level. Yeah. So thank you very much for watching, whether you're with us live right now. I know some people are. And thank you for joining us. And I also know, because I just looked today, and one of my friends who was on here 2 weeks ago, I'm going through my friends first, people I've known for 20 years or so, or less, because some of them are just incredible. And when you watch look in the archives for Who's Your Neighbor, and you can see the interviews that we've done before. These people are my neighbors. At the most, they're so far, 12 miles, 15 miles from where I live. So this is Portland, Oregon area. I'm right outside the city limits where I live, so 2 miles outside of it, in Clackamas County. But it's, when people ask me where I live, it's Portland. So this is not going to be limited just to Portland. There's a wonderful being that I know, several of them up in Tacoma, that I want to persuade that they should take 45 minutes and join us here so that you get to experience who's your neighbor. And so until next Wednesday night, let me say just a bit. I got to reach over here because I have my list here. Oh, yes. This was so amazing. You may have heard about organ sharing. That's an end-of-life issue for the donor, and it's a gift of life for the recipient. And can you imagine what it would be like dealing with someone who's about to transition, or their family for someone, well, maybe it's them and the family before transition, and then after transitioning, you're dealing with a family that what level are the emotions when your partner, your child, your parents have just transitioned? So our guest, Luis Navarette, I've known Luis for I don't know how many years. And he's got the most incredible heart. He's going to share with us what that job is about. I never knew there was a job like that. And speaking of Dow hands, I asked if I could give him a blessing for his heart, because I could feel, boy, when you're working with people at that level, I'm not ready for that right now. But Luis does it. And next week, if you're ready for a deep dive into the heart, we welcome you to dial back in 7:30 next Wednesday. Thank you very much. I'm Terry McGill.